The day is the 21st of January 2018, a warm and sunny day at the southern tip of Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. On the very top of the cliffs stands a small orbital rocket, ready for liftoff from its tiny pad. The engines ignite, ice begins to fall off the vehicle, revealing the slick black body beneath. As it races towards the sky, the faint dot of light disappears in the vastness of space. On this very day, a small company called RocketLab would become the only second private launch service provider to reach orbit, ever. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the RocketLab. My name is Philip and today I present you the third episode of Spaceflight Stories, this time about RocketLab. Despite being the second most successful privately founded launch provider in the world, there are loads of elements in their story and technology almost nobody knows about. This is a story of carbon fibers, helicopters, and hungry hippos. The story of RocketLab. RocketLab Limited was founded all the way back in June 2006 by its CEO and CTO, the New Zealander entrepreneur Peter Beck. The company only survived the first few years due to investments from fellow New Zealander internet entrepreneur Mark Rocket. Quite a fitting name, I have to admit. After being in existence for just 3 years, RocketLab launched the first ever vehicle. The little Ep.3 was a sounding rocket designed to fly past the Kármán line on a suborbital trajectory, resulting in becoming the second private spaceflight company to reach space. During the following years, RocketLab worked on multiple small projects, including a DARPA challenge for a monopropellant vehicle, which was tested in 2012. 1 year later, in 2013, RocketLab moved their headquarters to Huntington Beach in California and changed their registration from New Zealand to the United States. Following the successful static firing of a prototype of the Rutherford engine in 2013, RocketLab went on to develop the first ever orbital launch vehicle called the Electron, which was introduced in 2014. Electron had its orbital launch debut in 2017 with the It's a Test mission. The vehicle reached an altitude of 224 kilometers and therefore reached space, but was destroyed by launch control due to safety concerns after losing telemetry of the vehicle, despite it supposedly being capable of reaching orbit. On January 21st, 2018, the second launch attempt of Electron succeeded in reaching orbit, bringing multiple CubeSats into space. A total of 3 missions were launched that year, with all of them being successful. In 2019, RocketLab launched a total of 6 successful orbital launches on Electron. Additionally, they presented their plans for reusing Electron first stages, making Electron a partially reusable vehicle. The exact recovery procedure was demonstrated in 2020, but has yet to be tested on a mission. 2020 turned out to be even more of a success than the other years before, with a total of 7 launches on Electron, with 6 being successful. RocketLab experienced the first operational failure of Electron when the 13th mission, dubbed Pigs or It Didn't Happen, was lost during the second stage burn. Later that same year, RocketLab managed to recover an orbital booster from space by using parachutes to let it softly splash down in the ocean. Additionally, RocketLab relocated the headquarters in 2020 and moved over to Long Beach, California. The launch record of 2022 fell a bit short due to the ongoing COVID pandemic, with only 6 missions launched with 5 successes. In May, during flight number 20, running out of tows, the second stage of Electron spun out of control immediately after stage separation, resulting in the loss of the mission and its payload. Despite that, RocketLab were able to recover the first stage of the flight intact. In 2021, RocketLab also became a publicly traded company and is now listed on Nasdaq as $RKLB, meaning you are now able to acquire Rocket Lab stock. 2022 is set to feature up to 10 Electron launches, including the very first launch from the second pad at Mahia Peninsula. As of 2022, Rocket Lab only has a single vehicle in operation. Their dedicated small-sat launcher, called the Electron, is fairly small and has a payload capacity of just over 250 kilograms to low Earth orbit. That's certainly not much, but still enough to send small sats into space for a relatively low price. Electron stands 12.1 meters tall in launch configuration and has a diameter of just 1.2 meters. The lift-off thrust of 224.3 kN is provided by 9 RP-1-powered Rutherford engines. The Rutherford is a small 3D printed engine that uses electrically driven turbopumps instead of preburners. It is both the first fully 3D printed engine and the first electric pump-fed cycle engine to reach orbit. Electron's second stage is powered by a single vacuum-optimized Rutherford engine. The entire vehicle is made of special in-house developed carbon composites and features either 2 stages or 3 stages when an additional kick stage is used. Rocket Lab has got plans for using Electron's first stage by recovering boosters with a helicopter. After the booster has re-entered the atmosphere, a parachute is deployed and slows the vehicle down. This parachute, however, isn't like the normal chute used on other re-entry vehicles like SpaceX's Dragon or the good old Apollo capsule. Electron's parachute isn't supposed to just slow the booster down. It is supposed to glide through the air and throw a rope with a stopper at the end behind it. This rope is then getting caught by a hook deployed from a helicopter, meaning the Electron boosters will be caught out in mid-flight. This recovery process has yet to be tested on a mission, but Rocket Lab demonstrated it in 2020 by dropping a dummy booster from a helicopter and catching it with another. Additionally to Electron, Rocket Lab builds their own satellite, the Photon satellite bus. Photon is powered by a single monopropellant Curie engine and has a capacity of 150 kilograms to low Earth orbit. There is another planned version of the Photon featuring a more powerful Hyper-Curie engine with more payload capacity and the capability needed for interplanetary missions. In March of 2021, Rocket Lab CEO Peter Beck first announced the development of a larger launch vehicle called Neutron. Originally, Neutron was said to have a 5-meter diameter while standing 40 meters tall and looked something like a traditional rocket. But in December, an entirely updated version of the design was presented, now depicting a reusable rocket unlike anything we've seen before. Neutron features a carbon fiber body with an irregular shape, about 7 meters across at the base and 5 at the top. Propelled by 7 methyl-LOX burning Archimedes engines, Neutron is able to carry up to 8 tons of cargo into space. 4 fixed landing legs are attached to the bottom and act as aerodynamic stabilizers during ascent. During re-entry, 4 small wings called kinnards at the top of the first stage take over control, guiding Neutron back to its launch site where it performs a propulsive landing. But the craziest part of the vehicle is the fairing design, which opens up by splitting it into 4 pieces and stays permanently attached to the first stage. This fairing design enables Neutron to capture Russian and American spacecraft in space and bring it to a Japanese volcano base to trigger nuclear war. Wrong video. Neutron's 4-way fairing opens up its dead separation and releases the second stage, which is hung from the payload separation plane, together with the payload on top. With only the second stage expanded, Neutron is a partially reusable vehicle. As of 2022, Rocket Lab's headquarters are officially located in Long Beach, California. The headquarters also acts as a production facility for Rutherford engines and avionics. However, the main bodies of the Electron and Photon craft are manufactured in Auckland, New Zealand, where Rocket Labs owns a huge manufacturing building outfitted with 3D printers, carbon composite shops, and parallel production lines for faster manufacturing. Once completed, the Electron rockets are shipped to the northern island of New Zealand, where they are taken to either Pad 1A or Pad 1B at Mahia Peninsula, Rocket Lab's private spaceport and the first of its kind in the entire world. Rocket Lab also owns a third launch site at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, or short MARS, at Wallops Flight Research Center, Virginia. Launch Complex 2 is located directly beside LC-0A, which is the Antares launch pad. As of the making of this video, LC-2 hasn't had any launches, but there are Electron launches scheduled from the pad for later this year. Wallops is also likely going to be the first of many Neutron launch sites. Additionally, there seems to be a small dedicated engine test facility somewhere in New Zealand, but other than the footage you're currently looking at, I wasn't able to find any more footage or even exact location of it. In terms of company goals and philosophy, there isn't much official at Rocket Lab. The official website just states open access to space to improve life on Earth. Pretty standard, but still a bit of a mission to complete. The big factor in the success of the company is economical efficiency. A launch cost of just about $5 to $8 million for a single Electron rocket secures them contracts and puts them miles ahead of their competitors. By using 3D printed engines and recovering the carbon fiber boosters, they are able to not only mass produce the vehicle, but also to cut a lot of costs. Keeping the vehicle designs as simple as possible enables lower launch costs and better reuse capabilities. Additionally, using a private launch site enables great flexibility and not having to take care of other launch providers and their needs. Every single step in the process, from the first part being manufactured to liftoff from the pad, is optimized for maximum efficiency. At Rocket Lab, innovation and progress is the focus. The will to improve and perform is what drives the company forward. But the thing that makes Rocket Lab special isn't an inspiring vision or an ambitious goal, but rather the pure technical skill and engineering solutions of the company. Achieving a cheap and reliable access to space certainly isn't easy, but they've done it. Becoming only the second, now former private spaceflight company to achieve orbit after SpaceX is a remarkable achievement for a relatively small company like Rocket Lab. And over the years, they have delivered. Electron is a blueprint for the perfect small-set launcher and opened the door for 3D printed spaceflight hardware. With fierce competition from 200 plus small-set launch startups, and especially larger ones such as Astra, Relativity, and Firefly, surviving as a company isn't easy, and the fight for mission contracts will drive many of them into bankruptcy. But Rocket Lab won't be one of them. Their years of experience in building and flying rockets put them far ahead of anyone else, and with the introduction of Neutron, Rocket Lab enters a second, much different market with basically just one large provider, SpaceX. Although Electron will go on to fly missions for probably the rest of the decade, Neutron is the real big deal for Rocket Lab, their chance to become the second large spaceflight venture of the 21st century. The question isn't whether Rocket Lab will succeed or not, the question is when. And that's already it for the story of Rocket Lab. Let me know in the comments what you think about Rocket Lab's future, and if you enjoyed the video, which I really hope you did, why don't you hit the like button and subscribe to the Rocket Shop. Thank you if you do so. We see ourselves in the next video, and until then, I'm out. Cheers!